Hello everybody and welcome back to Two Barbarians. I'm Wade and today we're going to be taking a look at the WWE Elite Legends Series 31, our Matador and Crush, and these have just come out fresh in New Zealand. I haven't really seen them anywhere else around the world yet, so we're going to be taking a cool first look at again something that's come out in New Zealand first, so that's pretty unusual. I am flying solo today because Lee, the other Barbarian, he's come down with a little bit of mild sickness. Unfortunately, our Matador / Tito Santana is his favourite wrestler, so it's a real shame he can't be here to have a play. Now I'm looking at just two of the figures from Series 31. Unfortunately, I don't have the Bull Nakano and the Triple H here, which means we can only look at the legs and the arms of the diamond stud figure. Now that's a pretty deep cut because it's actually Scott Hall in his earlier days. Kind of cool, but kind of unusual too. There's been a lot of Scott Hall figures put out over the years, but you know, it's a builder figure, so again, we've always said that builder figures should be something which you shouldn't have to buy by itself, so deep cut kind of makes sense for that. Now we've got the Crush figure here. Crush has seen actually a bit of a renaissance of late. This is the third figure that's coming out of Crush in 2026 from Mattel. We actually have the Kona Crush version, we have the Demolition Crush version, and we have the NWO Bryan Adams version, which I guess would make sense to have a Evil Crush version, and the only other one that we're really looking forward to is probably Chronic. So let's see how we get on with that. They were one of my favourite WCW tag teams, so hopefully we do see a bit of action on that soon. And we've also got the El Matador, which is the look of Tito Santana from 1991 to 1993. I also have here a 2015 Hall of Fame Elite Tito Santana. Now, I got this probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I fortunately don't have the t-shirt which comes with them, so we'll just have to make do. But this to me is in the iconic sort of Strike Force Tito Santana mold, whereas here is the El Matador, which was the interesting gimmick that Mr. McMahon probably came up with. Probably, you know, this is after Tito's peak. He was a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. He was also a 2-time World Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. So, you know, he was very, very well thought of and highly regarded. So, in terms of El Matador, it wasn't quite a jobber, but again, he was sort of approaching that sort of end of the WWF reign. He did put over quite a few number of people, and if you think about his WrestleMania series, he basically, except for one dark match, he had a 1-7 loss. So again, we're well deserved of having a Tito figure. It's been about 10 years since we've had one. And here we have the El Matador. So this is Tito. Basically, as he comes out to the ring, he is missing a jacket, but he does come with his, I guess it's a cape or something that a red rag that you would wave to a bull. Now this is softish plastic. Soft goods may have been interesting, but he does kind of fit into his hands a little bit, and especially when he's into a pose, it is a little bit harder to make it fit. You have to really squish in those little fingers, but you can actually here, for example, pose him while holding it. And that's quite fun. So also in the ring, he would use this cape and he would swaying it round over people's heads to distract them. It was quite fun actually. But yeah, you don't get a lot of movement from it, but it's quite a nice little display piece. Now in terms of other accessories, you do have a couple of hands. They are the slapping hands, so they're not overly interesting as you would have it. And he also comes with the Matador style hat that he basically took to the ring and held it. So you can basically just hold it in his hands here and just have him wandering around. So you can't really have him holding both the cape and his hat attire. Now the figure itself, I'm a little bit two minds on. He's got very skinny arms, probably the same as the earlier Tito figure, but the forearms are very skinny, and that's quite a common theme we do say with a lot of the elite figures, that the body proportions may be a little bit smaller in places, but I guess that's more than made up for with the actual aesthetic. For example, the face sculpt of Tito is really cool. You can really tell the difference between these photorealistic ones compared with the the earlier one from say 15 years ago, where it is Tito but not quite Tito. So that again is quite common amongst the elites. Now, another very cool thing about Tito is he's wearing the unusual colors of pink and green. Now, the yellow is just painted on with nicely, and the same as on the boots, it's just painted on, it's not sculpted at all, as you'd expect for a figure costing the elite range. And again, it's just the pink wristbands there also painted on. Now, I do like this figure. I am a bigger fan of Tito, so actually having a updated Strikeforce figure would have gone down a treat, particularly for people who have entered the line about 15 years ago. But it is very nice to have a Tito figure, particularly even one that has his little ponytail as well, as opposed to the long flowing locks. Now, something you may not be aware of is that Tito actually defeated The Undertaker. It was his first defeat. Actually, it occurred at a house show, I believe, in Barcelona in Spain. Tito was essentially El Matador then, but he competed in his standard traditional white trunks. Well, I guess they wanted it to be special for Tito. He did take the urn, and I believe he whacked The Undertaker over the head with it and knocked him out that way, or else he probably would have been done for via the tombstone. Now, Tito comes with the arms to the diamond stud. Not a lot to say about the arms. They are just standard arms of elite figures, and comes with the two fists as well as the trigger hand. And here we have the Crush figure, also known as Kona Crush, not to be confused with Evil Crush. So again, he is coming in his bright colors, really quite cool, in the highlighter yellow and the purple, reflecting a colorful Hawaiian character. It's quite fun. Now, one thing to notice is that Crush has quite the sort of the grimace on his face, I guess, unusually for a face character. He's showing quite a lot of teeth. I know that Crush was generally, Bryan Adams was a heel during most of his career, so I mean, that face is not unusual, but it is a little bit different and something we expect to see him in when he's smiling. Very tall figure. Crush was about 6'6" in real life, so as you expect to be quite tall. He here had a little bit taller than Doink, who he had some very famous matches with, including one at WrestleMania. So the other thing to notice about Crush is that he has Crush written on the thigh down there, lines up quite nicely. He also has Crush written on his top. The ab crunch gets a little bit in the way of that. It's not too bad. And we also have the painted apps around his forearms, where we have basically holding them is a little bit of orange, which is obviously designed to thread in to hold them in place. Overall, this Crush figures a very welcome addition. I do have both the Crush and our Matador figures in the Hasbro range, but I haven't dug them out for tonight. Very nicely done character, and probably one of the more demanded looks. I guess we've been a bit spoilt having 3 Crush figures come out in 1 year, so again, I really like this figure. The accessories that we get with Crush are interchangeable hands. We've got a couple of the hang loose Hawaii hands, and then we have the gripped hands. He actually does come with the style of hands open in the fingers. That's quite cool. That's so you can sort of designed to use those hands on the old Crush, stick them on the skull and pressure it, which I believe he uses a finishing move a few times. So that again is quite fun. I always a fan of the Hawaiian hands. I have been to Hawaii a couple of times, so I do appreciate the old hang loose Hawaii. There we go, right there. Well done, Brian Adams. I just like to say that Brian also died tragically rather too young, so another one of those legends that is missed. Now, interestingly, we actually get the legs of the Scott Hall figure, the diamond stud. As you can see on the groin, there's a diamond, and on the back of the trunks it says stud in some unusual calligraphy style. So that is, yeah, it's fun. I'll be looking forward to getting the rest of the body with that to add to a Scott Hall figure. So there we have it. We have Crush and our Matador, two very well demanded figures for the range, and again they are legends. These are what I'm hunting the most because they trigger the memories for me of when I was young and when wrestling had gimmicks. Not so much of the current figures, but these are the two figures to definitely look out for in that Elite Legends 31 wave. I believe these will be good sellers. Everyone loves Tito. In fact, my mum really loved Tito, thought he was a very handsome man, and Crush is just one of those awesome figures that just pops with his purple and yellow. So stay tuned for more interesting videos. We do review wrestling figures when they come out here, and of course we do the old vintage figures as well. So if you did like this video, please do hit that like and subscribe buttons, and we'll see you again soon with Lee once he feels better. Ciao.